You're listening to the Pure Fury Creations Podcast Network, powered by Anchor.fm.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another episode.
Hey, what's up?
My name is Todd Gilbert.
And I'm Brett Fortney.
And we are hanging with the Hitman. That's him, not me. You know?
Yeah.
Gotta clarify.
Yeah, I guess I should always say, hey, this is Brett the Hitman on your,
Well, I was trying to be clever, to be like, and the hanging with the Hitman, like put the name in there. And but then I realized I need to work on my intro skills.
Well, no, I need to say that I'm Brett the Hitman.
That works too.
So they know that the hanging with the Hitman comes from that. Maybe.
Well, it's official. Neither of us are as good as Casey Kasem.
Oh, no, I'm not even. I wish I was as good as Ryan Seacrest. I think Ryan Seacrest is.
That man is employed for the rest of his natural life.
Yes.
He's on everything.
Him. He's got like 7 jobs. I don't know, but
who's texting you, man? Tell him shut up. No.
Oh yeah, I guess that's what that was. Yeah. I can go turn my volume down if you'd like.
People be all like interrupting our show and whatnot. So
I'll turn it down.
Oh man. So it since the last episode, I made my very first eBay purchase.
Oh.
I've never bought anything on eBay in the 20 some years that it's existed.
Yeah.
And 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I made my first purchase.
That's cool.
And it is obviously a U2 thing.
Yeah.
So
did you buy it now or did you have to bid on it?
No, buy it now. I ain't bidding on.
I always have my stuff set just for buying. I ain't trying to pressure myself. I don't need that kind of stress.
Right. So
I used to do that. That's the only thing that started off pretty much as just being bidding. I think it feels like most of it was bidding back in the day. So I did that stuff. But man, it was stressful. You had to be at that last second. Even if it was 3 a.m. for this, auction to go, you had to be there. So I'm glad not to.
You remember back in the day, you'd like get a friend to like snipe it for you if you were busy, and they'll be like, please here's my information. Try to get this for me, please. So I collect YouTube stuff, and I have every concert film they've ever made. Well, almost. From their very first one, which was Under a Blood Red Sky at Red Rocks during the War tour. Ooh, that was close. All the way through to the 360 tour, which was the tour for No Line on the Horizon. Well, the tour they did after that, the Innocence and Experience tour, they did a show in Paris, which I don't have that one yet. That was an HBO special, but it's on Blu-ray. I just don't have it yet. And then the tour after that, which is the Experience and Innocence tour for the Songs of Experience album, they did a concert film for that, but the only way to get it is to be part of their fan club. And you have to pay $50 a year, and you would have got it for free. Well, I wasn't a member of their fan club at the time. Spoiler alert, I am now. Because man, it's paying for that kind of stuff. But I'm a free member of their fan club now, so I don't get gifts. But so on a goof, I was on eBay looking around, and somebody had that DVD of the fan club only concert. It's from Berlin in 2018. It was one of the last shows on the tour, and a bunch of people had them, and they wanted like $70, $80, $100. There was one that wanted $200 because people see exclusive. We might as well tack on a huge price tag. And but then I came across one where the case was damaged, but still sealed.
Oh, okay.
So it's in like a cardboard tray card type thing where you open up a little cardboard book. Yes. And the cellophane was peeled from the corner, and the corner is all like bent and stuff.
Yeah.
And they only wanted $25. And I'm like, I'm not buying it for the case.
Yeah.
I want to watch it because I've never seen it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I paid for it, and it's just shipped out today. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then I still got to get the Paris one on, but that's on Blu-ray, and I can just get on Amazon anytime.
I was thinking about talking about that with you because, you know, I like the Zooropa era. Well, I mean, Achtung Baby and then Zooropa, that era a lot, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like we've watched one of the concert DVDs and you have.
So, hold on.
It feels like there's one right around. Is that the one that has like a greenish blue box maybe or something?
Excuse me while I whip this out. Hold on a second.
Well, I'm glad that we have video because most people won't know what you're talking about. But he is actually getting from the area where his DVDs are.
Right. I didn't pull my pants down, you know.
Because it's too early for that. It's too early for that.
Is it though? Is it
really ever, really?
So you are talking about live from Sydney, Zoo TV. Yeah. That was from the Achtung Baby Zooropa era. This was a live pay-per-view that they did back in 92 or 3. Of course, it doesn't say on the back of here. Why would it? But yeah, that's the one. They would do one from every album.
That's kind of crazy. A lot of people don't bring an album and then a concert tour of songs from that album with every album.
Right.
Usually,
so they had.
I like when people do that.
So they had Under a Blood Red Sky, which was the war thing.
Yeah.
After that was Rattle and Hum.
Yeah.
Which was the Joshua Tree tour.
Yes.
Then the ZTV one that we just saw. The next one, which was my first concert I ever saw in person, was the Pop Mart tour.
Oh, that's cool. That's nice. Yeah.
Live from Mexico. It's got a really cool documentary in it too.
Is that the one that comes out with pop music at the beginning with them for their intro?
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
The next tour, they had 2 different DVDs. They had this one from Boston, which the Elevation
the one
tour.
I was talking about.
Yeah, this is the Elevation tour for the All You Can't Leave Behind album.
Yes.
And then after that, they did U2 Go Home at Slane Castle, which is the same tour, but it's in Ireland. And then they did the one for How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, which was the Vertigo tour. And then they did the U2 360 from the Rose Bowl. This was for the No Line on the Horizon album. And then I'm just waiting on getting the new ones. And then the only other one I've got is it's a music videos. The best of 1990, 2000.
Is there a part 1 for that for the earlier stuff for the videos too?
Yeah, it's hard to find on DVD for some
I didn't
reason.
know that. I didn't even know that thing existed. I don't know why. Actually, the CDs that I have for those, it's not the whole thing, but it does have an extra bonus disc for each one that has videos on it.
Okay, yeah. For that one, there's different versions. You can get one that's like a CD/DVD, like you're talking about. Yeah. Then you can get one that's 2 discs. That's 2 CDs, and one is all B-sides. Yeah. And what I love about like U2 stuff, as far as B-sides, is their B-sides are different songs. They're not always just remixes of other stuff. It's like,
or live versions, or whatever.
It's songs that didn't make the album. Covers, stuff like that.
I wanted to see if I could see if I put that album away. I was listening to it earlier last night before I went to bed. I was doing some, like I say, alphabetizing / playing like kind of like a where is it kind of a game,
right.
like
Where's Waldo?
Yeah. So as I was playing that, I see, a couple Smithereen CDs over to the left, and there's a couple over here to the right. I'm like, I pull one on. I'm like, what is this? And it was all, and I don't even know when I bought it or whatever, but it's like, it has all B-sides. And when they did like live tracks they did like, You Really Got Me with the Kinks one time. So they recorded that live and stuff, and they did a few Beatles songs because they're huge Beatle fans. They always have Beatle covers. And I'm like, this is very interesting. I'm varying it. I am finding it very interesting to be here at night and putting on a CD, not a record anymore. I do love my records. I do. Now I'm kind of going back and forth because I love to put on a really nice, clean, CD that has great sound. Like I was listening to Miles Davis a couple weeks ago. Kind of blue album, just kicking. Just like, I guess, I'm old now. I'm listening to Miles Davis and jazz and different things now.
You're listening to Miles Davis with drugs. Not the not the post drugs clean Miles Davis.
And for some reason, I understand it. What's that say about me? I don't know.
Well,
I'm just saying. 'Cause I understand what he's doing. Like he's like we say, he's playing every note. Like what notes? Well, what keys he in?
All of them. Right.
Hey, one more thing about the U2 thing before we wrap that one up. I wanted to tell you that. So I cleared my iPad to give to Laura so she can do some reading things on the iPad that really is so old that might be all that it can do anymore. Maybe without any upgrades. But anyway, so I had to clear mine up. I had to clear mine out to give to her to put her info in there. And what I did, I went to the music, and the U2 album that they were giving away free was in there. The old music that was in the music, for
I tell you that whole thing, as a fan, and even as just a person that buys music, really made me mad. And not their side of it, but the people that were complaining about
so
it.
Mad that-
like, how dare you give us something for free? Like, come on. Like, then people are like, well, it's their invasion of my privacy because they're installing songs on my computer. Well, first of all, nobody installed nothing. The only time it would install into your iTunes is if you had a setting set up to install anything that came out for free automatically to from the cloud.
Yes. That's
the only time it would install. And I never had that setting turned on because I just didn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so people were so mad. And I'm like, it's all over a button push that takes 5 seconds. Like, if it was a band that they liked, would they have been mad? Probably not. You know what I mean?
I feel like the whole issue might have been over the whole vibe of, they can like spy on us and know what, I don't know what that was, but it was a vibe almost like, well, that is a very intrusive thing to do.
Yeah, but
I wasn't mad at it either, as a music fan, but I guess people that, I don't know. The only people that would affect to me is if somebody had a phone so full of music that one more album was going to make that phone not work. Right. That's the only reason that I would be mad that would be the case for that.
Well, and I've never been a conspiracy person of the whole like, well, now the government's watching you and blah blah blah. I want to be like, you know what? You ain't that important. The government does not care. If you have a phone, they're
watching you. If you have a phone, they got you, man.
They don't care.
If you have a cell phone, the whole thing about when you're looking at something or you're talking about something with your wife, and then next thing you know, it pops up as an ad on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So they know. So don't,
But at the same time, Big mad. Brother's not sitting on a computer going, I wonder what Brett Fortney's doing right now.
Yeah, let's look.
Right.
Let's listen in on one of his listening devices.
They've got more important fish to fry.
It'll be ALEXA. Focus in on room 3 at Brett Fortney's.
Right. They just got like a farm full of people watching every human being,
Almost like that show that movie that had Jim Carrey.
Oh, Truman Show.
Like the Truman Show.
Yeah. And lastly, on the whole YouTube bandwagon, before we switch on to something else, I spoke about it last week that I pre-ordered the new album, and miraculously, a couple days after that, it showed up, and the big old box set. It's
what's the feel on the cover of that? What does it feel like? Is it like a dry, papery feel?
Nope.
What is it?
It's like a glossed, like it's high, it's heavy duty. Like
either way, I thought it would have been cool too if it was. It just looks like it wouldn't be shiny, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's got some weight to it.
I saw the double one at Target a couple of days ago. We went to Target. I saw the double one with the colored vinyl. I mean, Garen, for sure you'd want to have all the songs, so you would want to have all
that's my thing. I thought about it, and I'm like, man, if I don't get the big box set, there's 20 songs I don't get. I mean, you can listen
to the album pretty much.
Right, you can listen to them on iTunes and stuff, but it's not the same,
Yeah.
So here's a fun question before we talk about the album. What's the most you've ever spent on one album? Like on a box set like that. Yeah.
The Beatles.
Oh yeah, you got me beat, man. You got that badass Beatles reissues box set.
And I got them at the same time, CD and vinyl together.
Did you get the mono or the stereo of the vinyl?
I got the stereo of the vinyl, and I wish I wouldn't have. But see, because
the stereo is the one where like the voice is on one side, right?
Yeah, but but see, they only did it up till Magical Mystery or White Album, and after that they went straight stereo. You know. So
if you bought the mono box set, did you not get the other ones?
So Magical Mystery. No, that's right. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's not as many albums in the mono box set, but they're more rare. So after I bought the stereo box set, I went and bought the monos individually, and now they're really there's like one that I need is like maybe Help, maybe one of them in the mono is like way too much money.
I like how with the CDs, each CD it's both.
Yeah,
like I thought that was really cool.
Just the early ones, not all of them. When it starts getting up to, I think right up until Revolver. After that, they just stays the stereo or whatever.
Right. So yeah, you got me beat then, because this U2 box set was the most I've ever spent, and it was after taxes like $140. Whereas that Beatles one is that times like 5.
That was the vinyl, and I told you I bought the CDs at the same time.
Right.
I bought the box set for the Beatles. I'm looking at it right now. So I have the vinyl of the stereo and the most of the mono for that, and I have the stereo and mono boxes of the CDs.
Nice. So we both listened to the new U2 album since it came out. Let you go first. What are your thoughts? What did you think of the new as the kids say?
The new?
Right.
Did they say that? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
I feel like that's some kind of like In Living Color reference or something. It was around that time.
That's a Sesame Street thing, that typewriter guy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Anyway,
I feel like I wasn't sure. You know, there's a few songs that are really they're mellow, but they're still upbeat. I like that it's like stripped down. Sometimes they stripped down, really made them kind of a slower version and whatever.
Yeah, like Vertigo. They kept the same tempo as the original.
Yeah, yeah. So I like the variation that they didn't go with just let's like play all our songs slow. They actually just changed them and made them new interpretations, I guess. Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool. There's a few of them that really stuck out for me, and I wish I would have. I was driving when I heard most of it because I will tell you, I probably listened to fully all the way through about 16 songs. The rest I was kind of scanning through real quick.
Well, you know, we got a show to do. You can't, you got to skip through sometimes. But it took me 3 days. It took me 3 days to listen to the whole thing. So because listen to one of the records, had to go do something, listen to the next. No, I agree. I think it's really cool that they didn't just do acoustic versions of the songs like an MTV Unplugged special. Yeah. Like they reimagined them, and like some of the keys are different, some of the chords are different. Yeah. Some of the lyrics have been changed. The only one I didn't care for, and it's not because of what it's about, but the new version of Walk On I didn't like at all. And the whole Walk On Ukraine thing, like
I didn't get to that one.
It was like the 6th or 7th song, but like
maybe I did that. My bad.
For me, it reminds me of the Elton John Candle in the Wind 90 whatever.
Yeah.
And like I understand you want to make a song that's a tribute to something important that you're very passionate about and you believe the world should hear about. Write a new song. Don't change the lyrics to an already wonderful song to do that. And it's weird because when you listen to that new version of Walk On, they didn't change the lyrics in the chorus. and they didn't change some of the lyrics that led into the chorus. So it almost feels like the new words are like shoehorned in and don't quite fit. The arrangement is beautiful. It's just gorgeous. But I didn't think it was necessary to rewrite that particular song for a different mood like that. Whereas the rest of the album, some of the lyrics are rewritten, but not all of them. Like Pride in the Name of Love, for example. There's one line different.
I had to listen to that one. That was one
of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
It was also the first single off of this. But in the original song, there's two lines where it talks about Martin Luther King getting shot.
Yeah.
It says early morning, April 4.
April 4.
Which is wrong. He was killed at night, not in the morning.
At night.
Yes.
At night.
Well, in the new one, he changed it. Late in the evening, April 4. Yeah. Or early evening. It's one of those two. And then in the original song, there's a line, one boy washed up on an empty beach, one boy betrayed with a kiss, which he's referencing Jesus.
Yes.
In the new one, it's one boy washed up on an empty beach, one boy who never will be kissed. Because what they were doing is taking the songs and shaping them for where they are in their lives now.
Yeah.
And with Bono's new book and everything, a lot of the songs are really reflective, which I think is really cool. And it's also really cool to hear Edge sing a few songs again. Because we haven't heard Edge have a song since Zooropa. That was the last time. Numb was the last time Edge had a song. And that was in 92, 93. So it's been that long. And he sang songs that Bono originally sang on this new one. Like his version of Stories for Boys on the first disc was awesome. He does Desire, and it's like this really high, like almost singing like Prince in the song Kiss, which I thought was awesome. He did a version of Peace on Earth, which was the last song on All You Can't Leave Behind. So like, it's really cool, man. I like it. I think, I don't think it's like the new direction of the band or anything, because U2's even said like their next album is going to be a big guitar rock record, but
what I like about their stuff on this thing is like, I feel like this makes you feel like maybe, oh my gosh, I like this. I might want to hear the original, because as a not 100% know every song fan,
sure,
I do know the hits, but I do know some of the album tracks too, but not all of them.
I mean, not everybody's obsessive. It's okay. I'm aware of my problem.
I don't know if you know. Yeah, I might have the same thing.
As he has a Michael Jackson wall behind him. Anyway.
But so, no, what I'm saying is like to hear the songs done makes me want to go back and hear the original.
Yeah.
To say like, do I even like, wow, how come I didn't listen to that back in 1981 when that came off? Because I wasn't like a fan into the first two albums, I would say.
Yeah.
So to hear some songs from there almost as new songs for me.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard the originals, or I don't remember them, or they're so different they don't sound like them.
Well, and really, the first two albums, the only hit they had was "I Will Follow."
Yeah,
and even that wasn't a big hit, really.
Yeah,
but,
so maybe some reinterpretations of songs from those two albums, or maybe a rare one from one of the other albums. Like most people know all the songs from Joshua Tree.
Yeah,
and probably Achtung Baby, and maybe or their one that came off Rattle and Hum. I love Rattle and Hum. I love that one too.
That was the first album of theirs I ever heard.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I was in high school and at my buddy's house, and he had U2's Rattle and Hum, and I'd never heard it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, check this out. And I listened to it, and I'm like, oh my God. And like, there was that album that made me a fan.
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah.
That one, I think that and Achtung Baby, I think, are my top two and then probably All You Can't Leave Behind, because I mean it's hard to deny like Beautiful Day and Stuck in a Moment and Elevation and all that kind of stuff.
It's really weird. It's really weird with them is like I have an album that I really like that one a lot. That's probably one of my favorite ones because that was when I was working in a record store. We needed some background music, and that one just stayed on repeat the whole day when it was out.
Oh yeah,
and I love because the one that stuck out for me was Stuck in the Moment.
Yeah,
and so I just listened to it. It's a nice little background music, album to play, and so that just became like. It's weird how music does that. It becomes like the fabric because there's stuff that you might love, and I do now.
Sure.
Guitar Center having a sale, but
was that what that alert was?
It was either that or McDonald's. They both have music to play.
Gotta get you a Whopper, man. Go get your. Oh wait, that's Burger King. Sorry. Gotta get you a Big Mac. Sorry, McDonald's representatives. I didn't say that. Anyway.
What was that again? I forget.
How you had All You Can't Leave Behind at the record store.
Yeah. So you had that in the background, playing whatever. So it just becomes part of your life. Back when I was a kid, my aunt and uncle used to play Simon & Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water all day long at their house. So I know every song on a Sunday when they'd be like, they were
like on repeat.
Yeah, well, it was an album, so they would just play it.
Oh, you meant the album. I thought you meant just the song. I was like, oh my God.
The whole album. They played that, and then for me, they thought, they put on, the Monkees' greatest hits, whatever. But so that kind of stuff is like has stuck with me, and whether I like it or not, it doesn't matter. It's all in my brain. That music, those songs are in my brain. They pop out of nowhere sometimes when you do. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
This day do it with Laura all the time. If she has any reference that sounds like something that's in a song, I have to sing that. It's just something you have to do.
When you're a big music fan like we are, sadly the references are just stuck in our brain.
They just flow through though too. Everything we say, the more music that the more phrases and stuff that and you might even be saying nobody else knows what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I do it. I do it to this day.
Yeah.
It's a problem because it doesn't matter where I'm at. If I'm in Walmart, I'll do it. If I'm at home, I'll do it. I mean, the grocery line, I did it a couple of days ago. The guy, in front of me was like, it don't matter. I had to do it. I had to sing.
There's one phrase that people can't say in front of me because it just, triggers it every time. And when someone, and it's going to trigger you, and I'm sorry, when someone goes, man, I keep forgetting about this. And it just triggers Michael McDonald in my head.
Yeah.
Did you see on The Voice recently? On The Voice, Jimmy Fallon came out and sang Michael McDonald.
I saw that. That's funny.
But getting back to the record, what would you out of 5 stars, what would you give the new YouTube record out of 5 stars?
Well, right now, because I didn't listen to it in full.
Just based on your initial reaction,
My initial reaction was a solid 3.5.
That's what
just for the effort and for what it is that they've done, and the music is good.
Where to me, that's, like a B-. I would say 3.5 out of maybe almost 4. But, there's a few things that make me not want to do that. Like, like the last album they had before this, I gave like a 4.5 out of 5. Like the Songs of Experience, I loved. It was so good. This is awesome for what it is, but and 3.5 is still a very good, it's not saying it sucks.
And I've only given that because I don't think I've listened to it enough to decide 100% if I like it all the way, or so I'm going to give it higher than half. It would be 2.5.
Right.
But I don't know if it'd be a 4 yet.
Yeah. The more I listen to albums multiple times before I form a solid opinion or whatever. But I'm the same way. I'm teetering between 3.5 and 4. If you're a U2 fan, you're going to love it. If you don't hate U2, which is, a popular thing, to do nowadays. If you don't hate them, it's worth listening to. I mean, I wouldn't say go out and buy the $150 box set, but it's worth, throwing up on your iTunes or your Spotify and checking out, man, because like you were saying, it might expose you to some songs that you never heard, but in a different way, it might kind of open the door for you to kind of dig what they do,
Yeah. That's what I feel like they might have done it for that reason, for the fans, and for the fact that they can kind of bring to light some new versions of some old music that you might not have known about.
Yeah, and I would much rather have that than yet another greatest hits album.
Yes.
Like, I'm tired of greatest hits albums. They've got like 5 of them. Like, how many times can you repress the same song?
I'll tell you though, most of the time it's the labels doing that. It's not so it's not their fault unless, it's usually like the artists always think that it's because it's the end of what the label thinks is their career. Yeah. So they're going to put a, retrospective together.
Well, but, I do like the fact that when U2 does put out a greatest hits, there's new songs on it.
Oh yeah.
They at least have one, sometimes two, like the best of 80 to 90, The Sweetest Thing was the new song.
Yeah.
And the best of 90 to 2000, Electrical Storm was the new song.
Oh, yeah.
But the 90 to 2000 also has re-record remixes of like 3 or 4 songs, and it's the songs from the pop album. But they did new versions, which I like better. And that's an album that, got a lot of abuse, but I think their pop album's freaking great. But yeah, all that to be said, we get a 3.5 to 4. Let us know what you think if you've checked out the album. If you haven't, check it out. Let us know what you think. Yeah. The ones I would highly recommend, Pride in the Name of Love, that new version is phenomenal. All I Want Is You, that new version is amazing. Every Breaking Wave is just gorgeous. So yeah, check it out. That and their documentary on Disney Plus with David Letterman is really good. And they wrote a new song for David Letterman.
Oh, see, I started watching. I'm like, no, there's too much going on a few days ago. When I started watching, I'm like, I can't really participate in this because my daughter was running through, getting ice from the refrigerator. I'm like, I can't. I just got to stop. I want to tell you this, though. Do you remember when we were, sadly, a few weeks ago, well, more than a few weeks ago now, but when we were watching the video, I'm like, we really got to watch this David Crosby. And then he died shortly, minutes after.
Literally that night. Yeah.
Like, okay, so no, before you left the house. Okay, so anyway, I hope that this isn't saying anything because I just grabbed this CD last night. I'm just going to listen to this all the way through. And it's greatest hits, but it's Linda Ronstadt's very best of.
And I hope that's not a sign.
That's what I'm saying. I hope I'm not stirring up some kind of, because it keeps happening.
So if something happens, this might be evidence for the police that I
just listened to this. I'm just listening to this pretty voice. Her voice is just so. Yeah, there's 21 songs on here, and 17 of them are covers. Whatever. But what I'm saying is,
at the end of the day, though, the cover thing doesn't bother me because when you think about it, Meatloaf's entire career was covers because he never wrote a single song.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
but I mean, these are songs though that were popular by other people.
Yeah, but if you make it your own
songs
thing,
were written for other, but he didn't.
Yeah,
a lot of more big hits for other people.
Well, look at Motown. I mean, look at Motown. People covered each other in Motown all the time.
She did she did Motown, if you recall, because she does Heat Wave, and she also does Tracks of My Tears and Ooh Baby Baby.
Yeah, I know she did a couple Smokey songs.
Yeah. But I just felt like being mellow last night, and I listened to that.
I've got the vinyl of the greatest. It's the two different records. It's a red one and a blue one. The greatest hits of hers, volume 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
Her stuff's amazing.
You got those?
Yeah. I bought them for I think $3 each when we went to Flipside that one time.
Yeah, they do happen to be a lot.
Where I found Don Henley's End of Innocence for $1. Yeah.
Did I show this one last time?
Yep. Olivia Newton-John. Yeah.
I don't have anything real new. You know what I'm getting today? Because I had that $30 thing from Best Buy. I've been looking for a certain album. I didn't have that one, but I got this one instead. I got Bare Naked Ladies Stunt coming today.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The one with 1 week and stuff.
Is that really the last one with
Steve Page?
Yeah.
Stephen Page. That one, no, the last one with him is what I was looking for, which is everything you can leave behind. No, that's your YouTube. Everything to Everyone.
Was that soon after Stunt? Like pretty quickly after? Because he wasn't in the band much longer after Stunt, was he?
No, about 4 or 5 years after. Because this is like, I think this that album that I'm looking for is like a 2001-ish, maybe around there.
Oh, okay.
And the Stunt came out like 97. That's one with 1 week.
Yeah.
And it's all been done there.
Yep.
It's a fun album.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never had any Bare Naked Ladies on vinyl before. I wanted the first album too, but they're really expensive and they're only bringing out certain ones.
I wish they'd put that greatest hits out on vinyl.
They have a couple of different greatest hits. They have the one that's like almost like a spinning wheel on the front. Yeah. It's almost like
that's the one I want.
That one's on vinyl.
That's the one I want. That one's awesome. Yeah.
You should get it.
I need to Be My Yoko Ono on vinyl, man. I need that in my life.
Yeah.
And the old
song is way better than any song by the actual Yoko Ono. My opinion.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't want any. If she has big fans, I love her. I really do love her. And I think that Yoko Ono was probably mistreated by Paul McCartney.
Digging that hole. No,
I'm just saying, I think she was mistreated a little bit. I do think that they were kind of like, who is this?
Yes and no, because like she literally started inserting herself into their recording sessions.
It was John letting her do that though.
Well, right, but at the same time, like she could have.
If John wanted to say no, it would have not happened. If he would have said no, bitch, you got to stay outside.
But I know that they're cool now. Like,
no, they're cool now. Yeah. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't they be
they're
cool?
all 90. It's might as well stop holding grudges, you know?
Yeah.
I still say Ringo is going to be the last man standing. I can just feel it. Like,
he is the oldest one, too.
Mm-hmm.
He was the oldest one. Okay, so I want to talk to you about the 40 years of.
So, the last thing we wanted to talk about on this episode is this week marks the 40th anniversary of the compact disc. And I looked it up before we got online what the very, very first CD was.
Yes.
And I was kind of delighted.
Did you not know?
I did not. And I was delighted to learn, and I'll read it right from the thing here. The very first commercial compact disc released October 1st, 1982. Was Billy Joel's 52nd Street.
I want to keep that as a surprise Street. For you. I did. I was going to text you last night. Like, no. But there's also some conflicting reports because they say that one was the first one, but in actuality, there was 50 of them that were released in different places. But that one ended up being at the top of the list of releases when people look at when things were released. Yeah. So there was like 50 of them, but that was probably the very first one actually in Germany. There was one that was by Strauss, the composer. It was like a symphony, kind of one of those.
Oh, yep. Here it is. This one's saying August 17th, 82. Claudio Aurora performing Chopin waltzes.
Okay, I thought they would say a Strauss or something.
But the first CD in the U.S. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so we're getting a little more fun here. So the Billy Joel was the first one in Japan.
Yes.
The Strauss thing or the Chopin thing, blah, 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 was the first one in Germany.
Yes.
The first one in the United States was Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA in 1984.
And the first one to sell 1 million copies was Dire Straits. Money for nothing.
So, that's, a medium that I hope never comes back.
So, okay, we got this fight going on. You say you don't want CDs to come back?
Well, no, because then vinyl's going to go away again, and people are going to stop making records.
They survived together for quite a long time, though. They
honestly,
sure did.
CDs never really went away. I mean, people still make CDs.
So I was watching this news show on Channel 12, and they were kind of making fun of it. The two people were younger, and they're like, "Oh my God, I bet you didn't even know CD stood for compact disc." And she's like, "That's what that stands for?" And then go back and forth, like, "Yeah, you don't even." She's like, "What's a CD? I mean, why would people?" And it's like, and Laura looks over at me, my wife, and she just starts laughing because I'm like, "Shut up! You're saying stupid things. Shut up!" Talking to the TV, because this is a medium that I am enjoying because I've been doing the CD things for 30 years, whatever. Yeah. But I am enjoying them now more than ever because I just sit in my room and I love records. Sometimes I don't want to get up, though. I want to not have to switch things over and turn over records. So I'm putting a CD on, just letting it put the speakers right in front of me and just listening to a whole thing. And I've had that experience with CDs over and over and over and over again, where it doesn't sound different from the first time when I played it. I didn't hear or nothing. I love those. I love the pops and crackles and whatever. I do. But sometimes I just want to listen to something purely.
Well, most times you don't get them on a new record.
No, you don't.
The new U2 one, it's literally quiet. No sound at all. There's music on there, but it's a quiet pressing.
I just find that if you clean them good enough with just a static brush, it should be good. And if you have one of those needle rubber jelly things that just let the needle just let it fall down. How about you have one of those?
Yep. At your recommendation, I got one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it really does help. It takes away the little hairs and stuff that get on a record when you play it.
So what was the first, and see if you remember this, the first CD you ever purchased or was gifted, whichever, the first CD you ever owned personally? I can tell you what mine is, but I'll let you go first.
See, I have, because in my mind, it's 87 that I got my first CD, but it's not 87. It had to be way earlier than that because it makes it sound like I'm like, look at me, but my mom, because I wanted one so bad, literally had to save up money to buy a more than what she would spend at Christmas present for me to give me one.
Yeah.
They were $500 crazy. I just bought one for $5 at Goodwill the other week. So I'm just saying it was $500.
Yeah.
And so if it was 85, it would probably have been I don't know. I feel like I remember Prince in there somewhere, but I feel like I do remember making it a big deal that I got the Sign of the Times CD. But I do remember I did have the CD from the year before. Prince was all at the beginning of my CD journey because I really thought some of that stuff that was played on them albums were sounded really cool on CD. They I wasn't used to that sound before on Sign of the Times, but that was 87. So I don't really know.
Mine,
it could have been Bruce Springsteen. It could have been.
Mine, I got two on Christmas one year, and it was a CD of an orchestra performing the Beatles. My parents bought it thinking it was a Beatles record. And it was an orchestra
version,
but it was still really cool.
Yeah.
And then it was Phil Collins' No Jacket Required. Sister Studio, Take Me Home, One More Night. Don't Lose My Numbers on that one too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Such a great record, man.
Yeah.
He's another one, man. We need to keep an eye on him.
Don't even mention that because last night it's already done. You've already messed it up. Because I listened
to in threes. We just named the first two.
Genesis self-titled album yesterday.
That's a great album.
But so now we just jinxed it because you brought it up. And I saw an interview where they're talking to the other guys, and I feel like it was more of a recent interview
Right.
And they were just pretty much saying like, yeah, he can't play anymore, but he can still be wheeled out there. Like, oh,
well, when I went and saw them on their final tour, and this is a farewell tour, I believed, because Phil had to pretty much be carried up the stairs, the stairs to, and then he had a cane and he kind of like walked out and sat in a bistro chair for the whole show.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to stand up to be able to do a concert. I've never thought that was a thing, but man, it was rough seeing him like struggling to get up the stairs and make it to the seat and everything. The show was great. The band was incredible. Like, I mean, Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks are legends. They're amazing, but Phil, and for as well as Phil could do, his voice was nothing like it was even 5 years ago.
True.
Like, didn't you and Duncan go see his solo tour like a few years before that? Mm-hmm. And he sounded great.
But he was really frail then too.
Yeah.
And it was like, he didn't, from our seats, we were not really far back, but far enough where you really can't see him right there. And like, you're getting the video better than you are seeing him actually. Right. So look at the video and he looks like maybe when people don't have teeth and they kind of have like a gummy
kind of sunk in,
and their jaw kind of comes out more, their chin comes out. But it had that, and I was like, "Wow, what the?" And I don't know. I know that he had all those different things that were happening with operations and all that stuff. I think that they screwed something up, and that's why his hands are messed up now. He can't play with his right hand on. It's really sad. It's really sad because he's like probably done making music now. Hopefully not, but
he is. He's pretty much said as much that the Genesis thing was the end of him doing anything. And it's funny because he had a farewell tour before.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. I mean, he was jumping around and doing all the classic stuff and whatever.
His book was really good too. His book, Not Dead Yet. It's really good. I got the
audio book of that. And
me too. And it was so really good. It was really good. Yeah.
I guess that kind of begs the question of like, when do you stop? Like, because there are some people that are still doing it well into their 70s and 80s. People like Paul McCartney is still great. The Rolling Stones are still good. What's left of them.
I'll tell you a story. I just thought of this because I heard this story.
Steven Tyler is in his mid 70s and sounds incredible.
There was I watched this YouTube thing where it was a comedian who always toured with Frank Sinatra. Okay. And this was like Frank's end of his career. He died like maybe a year or two after he stopped performing. And this comedian was on that tour with him. And there's a point where Frank gets up and it forgets the words to one of his songs. He goes blank and forgets the words.
Yeah.
He said this comedian, I can't remember his name. He was watching him from, side stage or whatever. And he's saying, he stops for a minute and he just stops the music and he goes, I'm sorry. I can't do this. I guess I'm sorry. I just, he apologized to the audience and said how bad he felt. And somebody yelled out in the audience, "You got it, Frank. We love you." And then he got it back and he finished the song.
Wow.
But, so I just thought that when the way the guy told the story, it almost gave me goosebumps because it was like the fans going like, "You got this, Frank." I guess as long as you feel that you can do it, just keep doing it. Like it
reminds me of Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
He got Alzheimer's and knew that
went on tour with it.
Well, and he knew that his days were numbered.
Yeah.
And so he went and recorded a new song, which is the saddest song in the freaking universe, called "I'm Not Gonna Miss You."
There might be one other one that's sadder, and that is Warren Zevon's
Keep Me in Your
last
Heart
song.
for a While. Yes.
Yeah. And those two together, don't ever play those songs back to back. You're going to be crying. Like
if you do, make sure there's no implements to off yourself anywhere around.
No.
But so he recorded that song and then went on tour with a teleprompter and, you know, all that stuff, and like did his final tour. And it's really funny because he's in on the joke. Like he's funny about it. Kind of like how Michael J. Fox is funny about his hand and everything. So they there's a clip of them and at some show, I forget where it was, and they do like Rhinestone Cowboy, and then 2 songs later he goes to start that song again, not remembering they already played it. And his daughter goes, "Dad, we already played that song." He goes, "Oh yeah, never mind," and went off. And like it was really funny. Like, and the audience was, like you said, for Frank, the audience was there for him.
Yeah,
like they were definitely like
they were there to see him say their goodbyes or whatever. I felt like, you know,
and help him feel like supported through the show.
I think that is the big thing. I'll wrap my whole thing up. You can do whatever that's at, but I just want to say, like, the power of music. People don't understand what music does for people. Like for our physicality issues that we have, our physical problems.
Yeah,
this was almost the only thing that in my mind that I wanted to do, but also physically the only thing that I felt like I probably could do, and not have to worry about any physical anything really.
Sure.
So I lucked out being, you know, wanting to do what I'm doing and that kind of stuff. There's so many people in this world that haven't, and music has been such a savior for like probably both of us. So
yeah, absolutely. You know. It was the same for me. Like I couldn't get into sports or any of that kind of thing, and honestly, I don't think I would have wanted to anyway. But it's never been a thing that I've really cared about. But when I found music, you know, and I lucked out because my whole family is musical. My mom and dad both sing. My dad plays guitar. Mom plays piano. They were both in choir. My cousin also a musician. So like it's already there.
Yeah.
And so I had like this nice foundation of, you know, to build off of, which was really nice. Mm-hmm. And, you know, to this day, I have way more records than I probably should, as do you. Lots of concert films, lots of CDs, DVDs, all that stuff. And like music is my happy place. You know what I mean? Because you can find a CD or an album to go with literally any mood in the universe. Mm-hmm. You know, when I'm feeling down and sad, you know, I can put on a Motown record to cheer me up. You know what I mean? I can listen to a Prince album if I want to feel funky. You know, I can, you know, there's all sorts of different, and that's the beautiful thing is, and that's why I'll never online rip on somebody for loving a band I don't like. Because even though it's not something I like they get something out of it and it means something to them. Yeah. So obviously it's important to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's all subjective. I mean, I don't like Greta Van Fleet at all, but I know tons of people that do. And so I'll never, you know, get on their thing and go, this band sucks and blah, blah, blah.
Right. No, I have some people that are just like followers of them. And, you know,
me too.
That's just what they do, you know?
Right. And my opinion on that is U2 is my favorite band in the world. And I know lots of people that hate them. But I don't want people, you know, getting on my stuff and crapping all over my favorite band when I'm happy about something that they did. So I'm not going to do that to them either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Love each other, man. Life's too short.
One love.
Right. On today's episode of Hanging with the Hitman, it's a love in. We're
going to call this episode One Love. No.
We could. But I just might. Yeah. But
I just say that that's just what I'm so lucky. Like I said, like that I loved it. Yeah. And I also was able to have it as my career, where it wasn't like a real job. And that, there's so many people that have jobs that they hate. And I understand. I've had hatred in my job too. Don't get me wrong. It ain't as fun as it always seems like,
it ain't always sunshine and rainbows.
It really is. I mean, you get a lot of hatred because you're not playing their song, or they're not playing something they like. So they hate you for about 4 minutes until you do. Then all of a sudden they love you again. So that's how that is.
This DJ's a jerk. He's not playing the wobble.
He's playing my song now. He's cool.
For a minute.
You get a lot of that. But anyway.
But yes, that's the beautiful thing about music, man, is there's not one person you're going to meet that's just like, I can't stand music. I hate anything that sounds like a song and blah, blah, blah. Like,
I really don't understand the people that say they hate the Beatles, though. I really don't understand that. I'm not saying
it's another hipster popular thing. It's like,
I understand the concept of what they're saying. I understand that you don't like them, but to actually have hatred and say that they are overrated and they didn't do anything for music really is like the craziest.
They literally did everything for music, first of all. And I'm going to get on a soapbox for a hot second here. Like, look, are the Beatles the greatest performing musicians that have ever existed? I don't know. How do you categorize something like that? You can't. Yeah. But they came along at a time when the blues and R&B and stuff were, starting to get bigger. Rock and roll was just getting started with people like Elvis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then the Beatles came along, and also Elvis never wrote a song in his life. Elvis did not write anything. If he had co-writing credits, but I honestly think it was like Michael Jackson, where he might have had an idea and just put his name on it.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put my name on this because I'm singing your song, so I'm going to get some credit for it too.
Right.
That happened.
I think Garth Brooks does that same thing. But
with the Beatles though, I don't know when I can look at every one of these CDs and stuff that I look at.
Yeah.
And if they're a rock and roll band mostly, I mean, yeah, some of it's for, some soul people and R&B and whatever. But if I look through here, I can see a group and I'll pick that out and I can tell you the interviews that I've heard them say that this was their reason that they got into rock and roll.
Yeah.
Any of these CDs here that's a rock and roll CD, I guarantee you 90% of them have mentioned that the Beatles were a big influence on them.
At least rock up through the 90s. Like, yeah. Nowadays it's a popular thing to go, they weren't even that good and they're overrated. Like, come on. Like, that's
You're overrated.
Just right. That's just being ignorant. It is, because now, while music is subjective, I'm not saying they're the best band in the world. No. I'm not saying that.
I understand preference too. I'm not saying I don't understand preference.
Me too. But to deny their impact on the music world, I mean, look at every single rock drummer you like. Like, give me two of your favorite rock drummers.
I would say Neil Peart and John Bonham.
They can both thank Ringo for their existence.
For sure. And
because not that they wouldn't play drums if it, or whatever, but Ringo invented rock drumming things. The man literally invented everything.
There wasn't weird sign or time signatures and stuff. Mostly there was, but mostly it was four on the floor and stuff. And
but not in rock music. Like in rock, like jazz had a bunch of the weird whatever. But
to bring it into rock and stuff and some classical stuff like Eleanor Rigby into rock and roll and stuff like that.
I mean, listen to songs like "Ticket to Ride." The drums on that song, had never happened before the Beatles. The
thing that I would just like to tell these people, and this is pretty much, I think the thing that I understand maybe is the reason for it, is that they don't understand that what they hear now wasn't around before the Beatles did it. Before they did it, it wasn't like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what you're hearing now, the kind of stuff you're hearing is only because the influences that changed from what it was before, what the Beatles did to change the influence.
And so many people are guilty of that too, of holding old school bands from the 60s and 70s to the musicianship styles of modern day. And that's not even a fair fight. It's evolved. It's evolution. You look at Lars Ulrich from Metallica.
Yeah.
For his time, when Metallica came out, Lars was a visionary. Lars was almost the Ringo Starr of heavy metal, if you will.
Yeah.
Then bands came out after him with drummers that took what Lars did and Lars introduced and expanded on it. And now people hate on it. Right. Mike Portnoy has said that Lars Ulrich was a huge influence on him.
Yeah.
And people will then take and crap on him like he doesn't deserve the accolades he gets. That's why the Beatles thing upsets me, because here you have four guys who revolutionized music as we hear it today in production, in songwriting, in playing, in arranging. They were the firsts of so many things.
First people have feedback on a record. I feel fine. Feedback. Yes. First song.
Like, listen to Sgt. Pepper, for example. Okay. I know that's the popular whatever, but really listen to what they're doing. And they are doing so many things that never would have been okay for a band to do 5 years before that.
Yeah.
And they had an entire career in the span of 8 years?
See, but they could, because they were the Beatles and they were allowed to do different things because they had success with doing different things.
Right.
So they're the ones that made future music happen because they pushed it forward.
Right. They made it okay for your now favorite band to do this wacky thing you hear in the studio.
With some background things in it and some sound effects, all that stuff, kind of started from that.
Modern production before that was very cookie cutter. It was very, everything had a formula. Everything had to stick to a certain kind of style, a certain feel. Then the Beatles came around and just changed all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sounding like a stan, as they say, but like, it's hard to, it's really crazy to me, people that will deny the impact that an artist had. It's insane to me. Just like Elvis. I'm sorry. And this is before I saw the Elvis movie now. Like, as far as on stage performing, Elvis totally changed the game.
Yes.
100%. Elvis did for live performing what the Beatles did for audio recording. Because before Elvis, wasn't nobody dancing.
Just like that.
How many people were gyrating their hips around before Elvis?
Not like that.
And the notes that man could hit, and in the way he hit them, and in the emotion and the raw power behind his vocals. Like, so for me, the two most influential people in rock and roll of all time are Elvis and the Beatles. For me.
They made everything else sound the way it sounds now.
Right. And the Rolling Stones come along right around the same time, and I do like to put them in that same conversation.
Yeah.
Because their songwriting also was unparalleled. I mean, you look at the early stuff with Brian Jones, you look at like Paint It Black, for example, and even like later on songs like Beast of Burden or Can't Always Get What You Want. There's legendary songs. And, Charlie Watts, another drummer who, like Ringo, I mean, I wouldn't put him in the same boat as Ringo.
He's a jazz drummer, though, so he has a jazz style.
Right. So Charlie brings a whole different thing to rock music. So, no, you know what? I would put him in the same seat as Ringo, because they bring the same stuff from different areas.
He's bringing like a jazz sensibility into some of the stuff that he did later on. Because you ever notice how he'd always bring the stick up?
He never hits the hi-hat and the snare at the same time, and it creates this really cool space You know, and so, I think, I'm going to amend that. The three most important people or three most important bands or artists in all of rock music's creation, in my opinion, Elvis, Beatles, and the Stones. Because every band that came after them wanted to be them.
Yeah.
In the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Bands were taking from their example. And to this day, I can put on a record by any of those and still be blown away by something that I may not have noticed before.
Yeah.
Like when they did that Beatles, the set we were talking about at the top of the show.
Yeah.
I remember I got Sgt. Pepper was the first one I heard. I put it on and I heard things in the background of those songs that I never heard before.
No, that's what I'm saying. With me having this little setup now, I'm hearing things like I never heard. Yeah, I'm hearing it all the time. And I just sit here because like I told you this before, like I'm hearing music behind speakers as a DJ. So you're not hearing the full effect of everything. You're not hearing the little things. You're just hearing, Right. But anyway, so I'm thoroughly enjoying my listening experiences right now because I'm hearing things, especially if I'm sitting here with headphones on and there's no other anything else going on. Just like new experiences, this is all new. Like this is all new for me almost.
And that's so fun because now you get to experience things from a different angle. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this all changed. I just gotta say, because people don't know, it's because I just have redone my basement and I put up, like a little stereo system. I never had a stereo like set up. Yeah. And like the last 30 years, I haven't had just a stereo. So that's what I have. And I'm just like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? I don't know.
Well, because the DJ setup is all you ever knew.
Yeah, that's true. But somebody told us, like, why don't you just set it up? Like, why don't you have a stereo? I'm like, why don't I? I don't.
You're like, that's a good question.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
But I think I kind of want to wrap up today with, saying, kind of reiterating, harping still a little bit more on the Beatles, Stones, Elvis thing. If it's something that you don't dig stylistically, if it's music that's not your jam, that's totally fine. And not everybody's going to like everything. I mean, Brett has a Kiss shirt on right now for those of you that can't see. And I know a lot of people that hate Kiss. I mean, hate them. Now, again, they are pioneers in many ways. Now, not like the Beatles were. Let's not get that twisted. But but in the realm of hard rock, they're very important. Especially as far as live shows go. Some of these live shows you go see that are just ridiculous circus shows, like off the wall stuff, you can thank Kiss for that. Because Kiss made that okay.
Yeah. Kiss and what was I going to say? There's a couple people that, like with Kiss, Gene says that Beatles were. Paul does too, but I hear Gene say it a lot more about the influence from Kiss. Like Kiss is very simple, but it's just like Nirvana. Their songs are simple, but they have an audience for them. And
both of those people cited the Beatles as humongous influences.
That's what I'm saying. That simple music that they got all came from, if you ever hear any interview of Dave Grohl talking about what Kurt thought, or even interviews with Kurt, his influence was totally Beatles. Yeah. He was more of a John. I think he was more of a John, but yeah, he is totally Beatles too. So you got two bands right there that are very simple, and a lot of people love them, and a lot of people, I don't know how, maybe there might be some people that hate Nirvana, but both the bands have very kind of simplistic music. Well, most of the time, early on anyway, they did.
And, Alice Cooper is another one. Alice Cooper also cites the Beatles as a huge influence. Yeah. And Alice Cooper was the originator of shock rock, in my opinion. Yeah. And then Kiss came along, saw what Alice was doing, and was like, how can we make this different and take it to the next level? Yeah. And that's what they did. Yeah. Also, Ozzy Osbourne is another one. Ozzy, his biggest influence is the Beatles. Yeah. And if it doesn't influence you, that's fine. But
no, Ozzy didn't sound anything like the Beatles, but he did. That was his. That's where we're talking about taking it to a different place. Like somebody has ideas of what they want to do musically, but still have influences from somebody else. It's going to make a whole new thing.
It does, and I think there's nothing cooler than somebody saying a certain person was their biggest influence, but then go on to make something completely different. Like Garth Brooks, for example. Garth Brooks always says his biggest influence was Kiss.
Yeah.
And he don't sound like Kiss.
No.
I mean, he did do Hard Luck Woman on that tribute album, and it was amazing.
Was really good.
But he went on to make something completely different. So the point I want to drive home is, even if it's not your thing, don't try to discredit the importance of its existence.
Yeah.
Even if you think the Beatles are overrated and you think the Beatles didn't do anything, whatever, keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all you're going to do is anger people. All you're going to do is start
just to
arguments.
rile people up.
It really is. It's just to look like you're in on some secret that nobody else is in on. Well, I got news for you. You're not. It just comes off as angry and bitter at the end of the day.
For sure, it does.
And the whole point of music is like healing and acceptance and finding something for everybody. And when you make comments like that, you're basically shitting all over that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One more person that I totally agree with you. One person that I thought that we wouldn't have if we wouldn't have a whole bunch of people come by, into one person. We wouldn't have Lenny Kravitz if we didn't have the Beatles, Zeppelin, and Prince. So there you go. You get those combinations. So that's how music does. It evolves. It changes. It influences. It makes new. That's what's so great about it. I'm
just going to name one.
Same thing. There's only how many chords are there?
Right.
How many?
Right.
And so, there's all these songs with just those chords.
I'm just going to name one song. Always on the Run.
Yeah.
Lenny Kravitz.
You got everything right there. You got everything.
That song is a masterpiece, in my opinion.
You got all
and you were the one that exposed me to Lenny Kravitz stuff.
Yeah.
Other than Fly Away that everybody knew, but like you were the one that were like, no, there's way better stuff. Here, check. You gave me a copy of that Mama Said album.
Yeah.
Wasn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
And I put it in, and when Always on the Run came on, I'm like, what? Wow. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, spread love with music, not anger and bitterness. What it's supposed to be. Like the Beatles said, all you need is love. Damn it all.
Right. Fight the power.
Peace and love. What? One love.
Peace and love, and
one love.
Fight the power and one love.
So we're going to go ahead and leave it on that. What are the question I want to pose to everybody listening, and put it on the YouTube page or the Facebook, whatever, because I want to remind people we also have a YouTube version of this, where if you want to see our beautiful faces while we talk about these things,
I don't know why anybody would.
I don't either, but you can. I mean, if that's your thing, maybe some people just like to punish themselves, but
maybe.
But you can check it out on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel that's Hanging with the Hitman, is the official YouTube channel. Every episode is posted up there. Usually goes live the same time this episode goes live on the Pure Fury network. Wow, my brain went blank for a second. Sorry, Jason. On the Pure Fury podcasts, the video drops the same day, if not the next day. So make sure and check that out. But the question I have, what are your most influential bands? And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it on an episode. Give us a list of bands that you think are the most influential, either to you or just to music in general. What are your favorites? What really gets your motor running? You know what I mean? Let us know. I would love to see that, and I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, we could do that for sure.
So until then, I'm going to jump off of here and make myself a sandwich. Because
I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably go look for the things that I lost before we start talking.
Now, did you check your pocket?
checked my pocket, and as I was checking my pocket, all the other stuff fell out of the pocket, but it wasn't there. It was almost like a double slap because I had to pick all the stuff that fell out of my pocket because my pants were on the floor, and then it wasn't in there on top of that. So I had to pick all my $17 worth of change that I have in my pocket. You know,
it's like when you call customer support and their first question is it plugged in?
Yeah, unplug it and plug it back in and see what happens.
So good luck on your search.
I'm gonna look. Yes, I'm on the search. Yeah.
When you get older, man, and I'm saying this because I relate, not making fun. When you get older, you forget things.
I put the mayonnaise in the cupboard yesterday. No, 2 days ago. Yeah, I put. Laura's like,
still there?
She goes, oh, I'm like, what? She goes, you put the mayonnaise in the cupboard. I'm like, okay, no sandwiches today. But so
ew.
I used Italian dressing. It was still good. No, we got a new one. We got a new one. I got
I'd hope so.
A deli stuff. No, I know exactly what happened. I know exactly what happened. The night before, I was making me a sandwich, right? I get the turkey out. I put the mayo on the bread and everything. Put the cheese on. I put the turkey on. I'm pulling the turkey out of the thing. Yeah, I put it on the bread, and then I look at my hands and they're all sticky. So the turkey went bad, and now I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? Those were the last 2 pieces of bread for that sandwich.
Oh no,
that was the mayonnaise. I was just like, I'm just done, man. Now what am I gonna eat? And I think I just like got frustrated, looked for something else, and just didn't think about it. And put the mayo in the cupboard with the bread.
Oof.
Where the bread was, because there was no bread left. So why would I put the mayo in? I took the last piece of, I have no idea. I put the mayo in the cupboard though. So that's what.
Don't do that, folks.
I just hope that my brain gets right here soon because I'm going to end up hurting myself today. One of these things, it's not going to be a mayo and it's going to be like, oh, I forgot to stop or something.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
One day I'm going to be driving to your house and you're just going to be walking down the road, muttering to yourself.
Yeah.
I'll be like, what are you doing, man? And you'll be like, who are you?
I did find myself talking to myself not too long ago. I was going to.
I mean, they always say as long as you don't answer yourself, you're good.
That's what I heard. Yeah, for sure.
I've done that.
All right, man. We've talked for quite a while on this one.
Right. So we hope you've enjoyed the episode. Make sure, and if you are not on there, hop on our YouTube channel and make sure to subscribe, where new episodes drop every week. They also drop every week here on the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network. And make sure to check out their other shows. They have lots of other great shows aside from ours. So, yeah, until next week, my name is Todd Gilbert.
I am Brett the Hitman.
And we will see you all on the flip side.
Toodles.